Hi, all. So we're back with our weekly wisdom chats with Dr. Lorin Roche, who is a meditation teacher, author, mentor, leads workshops throughout the world, teaches seminars on meditation and the wisdom of meditation and how one can create a practice in one's daily life. So here we are with Dr. Roche. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Tanya. How are things in New York City?
Things are starting to get better. We're definitely flattening the curve. We're seeing less incidents, less hospitalization. So that's definitely a positive sign. But we've been good. New Yorkers have been very good. We've been following the rules.
Thank God. Yeah.
So we have some interesting questions that came in, Lauren, after the first few videos that we recorded and put up. One of the questions that intrigues me as well, and I want to ask you, and I know a lot of people are curious about, is why is it that women are more drawn to meditation and meditation practices? Even in yoga studios, you'll find there'll usually be a lot more women that will show up for the practice than men. Why is that the case?
I noticed this in 1968. So I'm 70. I started doing yoga and meditation when I was 18. And the workshops in 52 years ago used to be 2/3 women. But women as a group have to be daring explorers of their moods and emotions and the energies flowing through their bodies. When you have a period, you know that you change, your whole outlook on life changes. So it could be that, but whatever the reason, women are daring explorers and adventurers in the inner world. And women actually create the groups. Here in the Western world, women create the groups, they pick the teachers, and they provide the Shakti, the vibrancy that makes everything happen. It's very interesting, and I'm on their side.
Would you say it's also because for some reason society is more forgiving of women expressing emotion, being in touch with their hearts, as opposed to men?
Certainly, certainly that helps. That women are allowed to go inside and feel, whereas men are expected to just function. There is that, generically speaking.
One of the questions, another question that arose, and I thought it was really valuable and valid to share, was somebody said, when I sit down to meditate or attempt to meditate, I feel like I come across a lot of pain and grief.
That's
Um,
what meditation's for. It's a place to feel everything that you're feeling. So that's a sign of health. When you meditate, all the stuff that you haven't had time to feel comes to the surface, kind of barking and meowing to get your attention. That's a sign of health. So just treat it as if you just walked in the door and there's your kids going, mommy, 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 or your cat going, meow, or your dog going, whoa. Everybody wants your attention. That just means mom's come home, or the person who has heart and soul, who has attention to give, is there. When your inner people come to you wanting attention, that's a sign of health and success. And the function of meditation is to be a place where you give yourself what you need. You're your own best friend.
So when we are trained since childhood, growing up in a society and schooling system which says that avoid pain, embrace pleasure. So when those uncomfortable feelings come up, and it's quite natural for a human being to react and not want to dwell in places which are painful. We want to shut those away, suppress those. We want to focus on happy things and things that keep us distracted. It's so uncomfortable when those feelings arise. Would you say just breathe with it and sit with it and accept it? It's still a part of life. It makes up the vast palette of life, these emotions.
Yeah, it's important to avoid pain and go for pleasure in the outer world. It is like, don't put your hand on the stove. It's very important instinctively. Now, living and going for it, just working, loving people, the chores, we get tired and we get stressed just from handling everything. And when we relax, we feel the pain of that fatigue and the tension. So in meditation, each meditator has to learn to distinguish what's a good pain. In other words, there's like just a pain of tense muscles and fatigue. So if there's a pain, like if you're tired and you get a massage, there's a certain kind of pain. Or if you worked out or done a yoga class or did some kind of vigorous work, 2 days later, your muscles will be sore. And if you massage them, there's a certain kind of pain. And it's a good pain. And even animals know this. Even animals will let you massage a sore part if you do it in a healing way. Every meditator has to learn how to give healing attention to the parts of us that are wounded, because fatigue can feel ecstatic. Like when you've worked really hard all day and then you lie down at night, the buzz of fatigue can be ecstatic. We all know that state. It also can be painful. And so each meditator has to learn to discern the type of pain. And there are certain pains you pay attention to, and it dissolves into kind of ecstasy, like, oh, there's healing. And there's other pain that's the pain of treating yourself badly. So you have to learn these skills, and it's a challenge.
I love that. That's so valuable. It's analogous to when you work out and you have a soreness in your body, but it's a good kind of soreness.
Yeah. What's going on in meditation, because there are so many tens of millions of people meditating without much training, is that they think that the pain of working out that they feel means a failure to meditate. So they get up and think, oh, I failed. People are thinking that they failed at meditation when their hurt places come up to be healed, where in fact, that's the success of meditation.
Thank you so much. Well, so one of the things that I feel when people encounter that pain, when they want to cringe, the response is to cringe. What you said, healing attention. Meditators pay healing attention to a wound inside. Would you talk a little bit about healing attention? How would you define it?
Yeah. Healing attention is where you're being tender towards yourself. So you're listening to yourself, feeling yourself, seeing yourself like you would a best friend. Now, if you're lucky, at some point in life, you had a friend who you'd get together with and you just tell each other everything. Whatever you say, the other person they love you for it. They want to hear your story, and they'll never beat you up with it. You get to say whatever. I hate my job. I hate my husband. I'm sick of my kids. Whatever forbidden thing would come out of your mouth, you're going to say it, and it just like washed away by the river. Learn how to do that to yourself. Especially in the beginning of meditation, you should expect the first couple of months, it's just your inner life just chatting away at you and talking. And even negative voices that you might have in your head, they're really just looking out for you. If you listen long enough to like some inner voice is always criticizing you, eventually it'll just say, well, I just want you to do your best, or I just want to try to protect you.
It protects you by offering you the same things I've always offered, just to keep you sort of cushioned from the pain of feeling the wounding or the extent of it.
Well, we've internalized, in a certain way, we each have internalized all of human culture, and specifically our family, then what our local culture, and then all of humanity. So we have all these voices. In a way, to be a human being, the brain, think of all movies ever made and all TV shows ever made, and all radio shows ever made, and all books ever written, all stories ever told. In a certain way, you have access to all of that, the whole human story. That's what a brain is. The brain is something like 80 billion neurons, and each one has hundreds of connections So each cell has hundreds of connections, and they signal to each other 200 times a second. So that's 80 billion. You're talking about the trillions. The connections in the human brain is something like as many atoms in the universe. So what we're doing by being alive, it's a hum of activity on many levels. So we're living inside of this adventure.
It's so dynamic to be a human being. There's so much there.
Life is and living things are a great mystery, and even physical matter is a great mystery.
So amazing. Such great food for thought. Thank you, Dr. Roche. As always, this was so amazing. I love our little 10-minute chats. Please check out Dr. Roche's website, www.lorinroche.com. He teaches worldwide. He's got books out there, seminars. You can just tune in. You could seek him out. You could write him an email. He's also very responsive. So to get deeper into these studies that have really transformed our lives. Thank you so much. Until next time.